Arsenal thump Slavia Prague to advance. Villarreal and an old friend will meet them in the semi-finals, whilst United cruise to the Final Four where they will meet the conquerors of Ajax, Roma. Hey guys, Fletch here, welcome to another Fletch Talks video, welcome back to the channel. You should know the drill by now. This is of course the video where I take a trending topic or a topic of interest within the world of football, bring it here, throw the spotlight onto it, put it under the microscope where we talk about it, we discuss it, maybe debate a little about it as well. And today's video is of course no exception, as today we are looking back at last night's Europa League action. But before we do, a quick reminder to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's go back to talking about last night's Europa League action, where it was a night where we now know the final four of this competition. They were decided. The semi-finals have all been laid out. The quarterfinals reached its conclusions last night, and we now know who will be in the final four, the semi-finals, when they come around. So let's begin by talking about Arsenal's game against Slavia Prague first. Yep, we're beginning with Slavia Prague against Arsenal. It was honestly the perfect night, the most perfect night you could ask for if you are an Arsenal fan, as they ran out 4-0 winners on the night against Slavia Prague and brutally knocked them out of the Europa League with a 5-1 victory on aggregate. Arsenal initially had an Emil Smith-Rowe goal ruled out for offside early in the first half, but not long afterwards the Gunners did take the lead with Nicolas Pepe finding the back of the net, and that put Arsenal in a driving seat from there. They cancelled out Prague's away goal from the first leg, and from there Arsenal went on to dominate. Shortly after Pepe opened the scoring, Alexander Lacazette doubled Arsenal's lead from the penalty spot before Bukayo Saka scored Arsenal's third goal of the night. Then later on in the second half, Lacazette put the icing on the cake, scoring his second of the night, Arsenal's fourth of this leg on the night, and Arsenal's fifth goal overall in this tie across both games to comfortably sail through to the semi-final stages. Well, I've got to admit, I was kind of right and I was also wrong at the same time. I said that Arsenal would qualify from this game, and there I was right. But I said that it probably would be a long and nervy night for the Gunners and for their supporters. And there I, of course, was wrong. Arsenal were ruthless last night. They took their chances when they came and executed their game plan to perfection. They cancelled out the away goal very early on, which was the right thing to do, and then used the away goal rule to their advantage, and they never lost their grip on this game. And you know what? Fair play to the players, fair play to Mikel Arteta on what was a great result and a great victory overall for the club. It was a perfect night for Arsenal, and now they can look ahead to the semi-final stages, where they will be playing Villarreal. Yes, Villarreal are through to the semi-finals following a 2-1 victory over Dynamo Zagreb last night. A scoreline which means the Spanish side have won 3-1 on aggregate, and a result sets up a semi-final encounter with Arsenal, like I mentioned. Yep, it's going to be the return to Arsenal of Unai Emery, the former Gunners manager who spent a year and a half almost with the club and actually did lead them to a Europa League final back in 2019, of course, where they finished runners-up to fierce rivals Chelsea. I said last week that despite that final defeat, Unai Emery is no stranger to success in this competition. He of course guided fellow Spanish side Sevilla to 3 consecutive Europa League trophies, and if he's to find success in this competition with this Spanish side that he's in charge of right now, then he's going to have to go through his former club of Arsenal to get that one step closer towards Europa League success. Both teams will be fired up for this one, you imagine. Unai Emery will, of course, want to get one over on his former team, whilst Arsenal themselves and Arteta will want to win this competition and use it as a gateway into next season's Champions League, of course. So it should be a very, very exciting encounter when these two teams eventually do meet in the Final Four. One I cannot wait to watch. Next, we come to Manchester United, who beat Granada 2-0 on the night and 4-0 on aggregate to sail on through to the semi-finals. Edinson Cavani scored early in the first half to pretty much put the game to bed, with all due respect, of course, but the Spanish side seemed very unlikely to pose a threat to United's at the time. 3-0 with 2 away goals scoreline. And to round off the job, well done for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, United scored the second goal, or should I say, Granada scored United's second goal of the night, coming from a Jesus Vallejo own goal to really put the game to bed, if it hadn't been already, and for United to comfortably sail on through into the Final Four. No shocks here. Absolutely no shocks here. Simple as that, really. When the draw was made, everyone kind of assumed that United would be progressing to the penultimate stage of this competition, and following the first leg victory, those assumptions were only strengthened, and United have gone on to see the game out fairly comfortably here, and you know, they really put the Spanish side to the sword. They'll face a bit more of a tougher test in the semi-final, you imagine, though, as they'll be taking on Italian side Roma. Yep, Roma may have drawn 1-1 on the night against Ajax, but because of their first leg efforts, the 2-1 victory they managed to pick up there, it meant the Italian side are through to the Final Four of this competition with a 3-2 victory overall on aggregate. So, Roma versus Manchester United. Years ago, that would have been a Champions League fixture, now reduced to being a Europa League semi-final. Maybe that's being a bit disrespectful, but nonetheless, this should still be a very interesting and exciting match either way. United probably will be the favourites to go into that game and come out of it as finalists for this year's competition, you imagine. They are, of course, arguably the favourites to go on and actually win the overall competition itself. So you'd assume that United will be firm favourites with the bookies here. But don't count Roma out. They are a tricky side, a difficult side, a well-drilled side, and particularly in defensive areas. And there are actually a couple of players that United will be fairly familiar with and will know pretty well from their times over in England. They are, of course, Edin Dzeko, formerly of United's fierce rivals Manchester City, of course, and their own former player in Henrik Mkhitaryan, of course, used to play for United, used to also play for Arsenal as well, of course. So this upcoming game does add a bit more of an incentive for those two players in particular, for obvious reasons. And, you know, let's face it, there is something else that's also behind this game, a little bit of an underlying storyline, a bit of a subplot. United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are on a pretty intriguing run of semi-final defeats right now. I think it's 4 on the bounce, if memory serves me correctly, under the Norwegian, that he hasn't been able to get past that mark. There's been a bit of a semi-final hoodoo placed on United. So the question is, will it be 5th time's the charm for Solskjaer and for United? Or will Roma advance to the final instead? Only time will tell. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of last night's Europa League football? What do you make of Arsenal, Man United, Villarreal and Roma all progressing through to the final? What do you make of the teams that got knocked out of the competition? What do you make of the upcoming semi-finals? What do you make of Arsenal versus Villarreal? A return to Arsenal for Unai Emery? What do you make of Man United's game against Roma? Who makes it to the final? Who then goes on to win this competition? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down in the comments section below. I'm sure that all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.